Hello, and welcome to the Park2Park podcast, where we compare theme park offerings from coast to coast. We don't always see eye to eye, but in the end, we try. I'm Allie, and as always, I'm joined by CJ. How is CJ doing tonight?
Hey, Allie, I'm doing well. It's Friday. Whoop whoop. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I no longer have COVID again.
Yay.
Yay! And this morning, I finished reading The Swiss Family Robinson. And let me tell
book
you,
report on a
book
scale of 1
report.
to 5, 5 being the best book you've ever read, 1 being I never want to read it again.
1.
Oh no.
I have never been so happy to see a chapter titled Conclusion.
Oh no.
It's all of my problems with it boil down to the fact that it is very, very, very dated.
Really?
There's a lot of sexism.
Oh.
There's a lot of racism. Yeah, okay. He doesn't refer to his wife as anything other than my wife for 6 chapters.
Oh, so he doesn't use her name.
Yeah.
Do you learn her name at any point in the book?
Yes, her name is Elizabeth.
And when did you learn her name?
Chapter 7.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I gotta say, it's a really great thing that man had 4 sons, because if he had any daughters, he would not have known what to do with them on this island.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Oh, also, there's no plot for like 75% of it. It's just we landed on the island, and today we did this, and today we did that, and then the next day we did that, and it's Sunday, so now we're gonna rest and pray. Really, really frustrating to read.
When was the book written?
1812.
Oh, well, that explains a lot.
Yeah, but it doesn't make it nicer to read. The dialogue is very, very stilted.
Huh.
And I will also say it's really annoying that this man and his children and his wife have never been on a deserted island before in their life, yet somehow they know the names of all the trees and the names of all the wildlife and all that kind of things. It's kind of really frustrating, and if this was written 200 years later, I would be like, I wonder if he orchestrated this shipwreck so that he could seem useful to his family. And I really want to see a reboot of it where it's the Swiss Family Robinson and their 4 daughters. And the mom and the 4 daughters go and do all the island exploring while they leave the dad behind to do the cooking and the weaving and the gardening.
That would be interesting. So do you think, have you seen the movie that Disney made, the 60s movie?
I have not, but from what I have read online, it actually comes with a content warning on Disney Plus because of the insensitive depictions of the island's natives that they encounter, which is true to the book, unfortunately. So I have not seen it. I'm not sure I want to see it at this point, so...
Well, maybe you should take one for the team and watch it and do a comparison to the movie and then do a comparison to the walkthrough attraction, like a triple comparison.
I just took one for the team by reading this book.
Oh no.
All right, I'll see what I can do. All right, but we didn't come to this episode for me to hate on the Swiss Family Robinson book.
Wait. Who was the author of this book, and what else did they write?
Johann David Weiss.
I have never heard of that gentleman.
It was originally published in German. Let's see here.
What else did this human write? I'm just curious how Disney chose this.
According to his Wikipedia page, he's best remembered for his book, The Swiss Family Robinson, and it doesn't say anything about anything else that he's written.
I really want to know the backstory on how Disney picked that to make a movie out of.
I'm not sure, but I do know that The Swiss Family Robinson was inspired by Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe.
Oh, interesting. The plot thickens.
And they reference Robinson Crusoe a lot in the book, because some of the kids are sometimes like, yes, like Robinson did when he was on his island.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, well, thanks for taking one for the team.
Yeah, sure thing. We aren't here for me to hate on the Swiss Family Robinson book. We are here to talk about CJ's recent trip to the Disneyland Resort.
Yay!
Yay! So how many days did you do at the parks? And did you have park hoppers? Like how did you get in? What tickets did you purchase?
Yeah, so we had 2-day park hopper tickets. We bought, 2 adult tickets and a child ticket, and then our daughter got in for free because she's under 3 years old. And the way it works out there is you can park hop starting at 1 p.m. So our first day, and when you purchase your tickets, you have to say, like, I want to start at Disneyland or California Adventure. So day one, we started at Disneyland, and then day two, we started at California Adventure.
Okay. So I want a quick rundown. Literally, don't go into any detail, just a list. Day 1 attractions, day 2 attractions. Go.
Day one, Space Mountain, Snow White, Pinocchio, Casey Jr., Small World, Storybook Land, Matterhorn, Alice in Wonderland, then lunch, Pirates, Haunted Mansion, then we park hopped, then we had Ghirardelli ice cream, then Pixar Pal Around, Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind, Silly Symphony Swings, Jumpin' Jellyfish, Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters, kind of. My kid didn't want to ride it. We just like walked through the ride. And then we had dinner at Carthay Alfresco Dining. And then that was it for day one. Day two, we our first thing we did was we bought sunscreen because we forgot it on day one. So after that, we did Incredicoaster, then Radiator Springs Racers. Then we watched the Spider-Man Stuntronic show. Then we did Web Slingers. And then we had lunch at Smoke Jumpers Grill, Grizzly Peak Recreation Area, Golden Zephyr, Jumpin' Jellyfish, Silly Symphony Swings, Monsters Inc., we had ice cream from Clarabelle's, and we rode the monorail. We park hopped and we rode the monorail. Then we did a Grand Circle tour on the railroad, then the Jungle Cruise, and that's it.
Did you have Genie Plus for this?
Okay, we initially were going to purchase Genie Plus for just myself because I wanted the Photopass downloads because at Disneyland, it's $5 more than Disney World to get Genie Plus. It's $20 per person, and it comes with your Photopass downloads. However, upon park entry on day one, there was a big IT disaster and it was affecting like every single person who walked into the gates. They scanned our ticket, and the way that it works is as soon as your ticket is scanned, you can purchase Genie Plus, even if the park is not open. So I go into the app and it was like, error, you have not scanned into the correct park. And it was like, please scan into the correct park and you can purchase Genie Plus. And I was like, well, that's weird. But sometimes my app has problems, whatever. It's the Disney app. The Disney app sucks. So I force closed it. And while I was working on this, I'm walking down Main Street and I'm trying to enjoy my first visit back in 2.5 years. I should not have to deal with this. So I was like kind of pissed. I'm not gonna lie. I was not very happy at this point. And I see a bunch of people on the left side waiting at City Hall. And I'm like, I know there's another guest relations place kind of by the partner statue on the right side where they have that wait times board. Mm-hmm. So I'm walking down there thinking there's going to be less people waiting down there. So I'm looking at my app, not paying attention to looking at the castle and Main Street, like force closing my app. We get down there, there's only like 3 people in front of me. And the person behind me is saying, are you having problems with Genie Plus? And I said, yes. And by that point, it was like 8:02. And I'm also trying to book like a disability selection on our phone because our son had the disability pass. And I said, but I also can't book a disability pass because it doesn't think we're in the park. That's a problem. So something is going on. And I'm listening to other people say similar things. And by that point, the line had like 15 people behind us. So I'm like, oh no, something is going on. So yes, I had planned to buy a Genie Plus, but when I talked to the guest relations person, they said that IT is aware of this issue where even though we're scanned into the park, the system is not recognizing that anybody's tickets have been scanned into the park. Yeah, so it turned into this whole thing where nobody could purchase Genie Plus. The people, backstory, Disney has now stopped, from what I understand, you can't like pre-purchase Genie Plus anymore. But there's still some tickets that had it pre-purchased before they stopped that. So I don't know if they could or could not make selections. There were just issues going on with that. People who had disability access could not make selections because it wasn't recognized that they were scanned into the park. The way that they do rider switch at attractions is they like scan your ticket. That was not working. So rides were having to do it manually with like a little piece of paper. It was affecting a lot of different things, and I was like, great. I guess I'm just not gonna buy Genie Plus. Cool. So day one, they lost $20 on me from that plus tax. Like, okay, I guess I'm not buying that. And then I realized, like, okay, well, day one, we didn't see that many Photopass photographers. I mean, there were a bunch in front of the castle, but that was about it.
Mhm.
So day two, I was like, whatever, if we want our picture taken, I'll just ask a cast member to take it with my phone. So we ended up not getting it day two.
And you and I have talked about how it feels like there's a lot less PhotoPass opportunities at Disneyland versus at Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, it was kind of disappointing. You know, I would have liked to purchase ride pictures, I guess, but we only went on one ride at Disneyland. We only went on Space Mountain that had a ride picture, and I just took a picture of it with my phone, so that sufficed. And then I only really saw PhotoPass in front of the castle and maybe a couple spots on Main Street, like really not that many. So I don't think it would have been worth it for us, and that's kind of disappointing. I'm glad I didn't spend the money.
All right. You intended to, you couldn't, and Disney unintentionally saved you from making a life choice that you would later regret.
Yes, yes. $40 saved.
Yeah. Wow, it was not a great start to your trip.
No, and their solution was like, oh, IT is aware of this issue. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a picture of your tickets, send it to the main guest relations office, and they're going to send it to IT, who's going to scan you in when they get it solved. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, right, that's not going to happen. And they told us to keep checking our app periodically to see if it started working magically. Yeah, I'm like, that's exactly how I want to spend my day, periodically checking my app to see if you guys fix the problem.
It's not the cast member's fault who told you that. I know that they're just
No.
this is what they were told to say.
Yes. Yes,
And
I'm
in the
aware of that
meantime,
too, but it's just not a good solution.
no, it's not. And I work in tech and I work at a tech company and I know just IT is just scrambling behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the meme where the guy walks in with the pizza and everything's on fire in the apartment. Yeah,
Yep.
you're the guy with the pizza and you didn't know it.
Yes. Yes. So what ended up clearing it, because the way that you book, have you been to the parks on a disability pass these days or no?
No.
Okay, so there's a whole separate, if you qualify for a disability pass, there's a whole separate section in the app that pops up that says like disability access service, and you click it and it shows you every single attraction, and you click whatever attraction you want and you book it. So I just kept like trying that periodically and nothing was working. So we set off to Space Mountain and I was like, whatever, we'll just go up to the exit. We had our stroller tagged as a wheelchair. And so that kind of worked as like a stopgap, like, hey, we have disability access, like we'll figure it out. So that's where we went first. And then we went to Fantasyland after that. And the Fantasyland attractions at Disneyland, like they're so old that their queues cannot accommodate wheelchairs, right? So we were able to just go up to the exit for all of them. Now, eventually we made our way over to Alice in Wonderland, and I was expecting them to just say, okay, wait here, like it'll be like a 5-minute wait, whatever. The cast member there had his little cell phone out. You know, they all have their cell phones where they scan stuff. And he's like, well, let me try scanning and see what happens. And he scanned it, and he's like, well, I got you a return time. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, that cleared the issue. So apparently, the act of him issuing us a return time scanned us into the park. That ended up clearing it. So this whole story about like, oh, we're going to take a picture of your ticket and send it to IT and they're going to scan you, that either was never going to happen, didn't happen, or was in progress of some time happening at some point throughout the day and just they didn't get to us because there's a gazillion other people with the same problem. But that cast member at Alice in Wonderland, like that process cleared it up. And from that point on, we were able to book disability access selections from our phone.
Well, it had a happy ending. It took a while.
Yeah.
It had a happy ending.
Yeah, it took until like 10:30 or 11ish.
It sounds like you got a lot done, though, so it doesn't seem like it hindered you all too much, just was frustrating.
Yeah, today's August, we're recording on August 5th, and August 8th is when Disneyland is bringing back early park admission for guests of the Disneyland Resort hotels. So everybody, when we were there, no matter where you're staying, everybody gets in at the same time. And that is such a huge advantage. Like, I cannot emphasize enough that rope drop is the way to do it at Disneyland. Like, we walked onto Space Mountain, walked onto Snow White, walked onto Pinocchio, even though, yes, we did use disability access. Those lines were so short that early in the morning. We went back to Fantasyland a little bit later in the day, like we walked through for something, and the line for Snow White was like way out the door. And I was like, holy cow, I'm so glad we were there so early. It's the way to go for Disneyland for sure.
So you kind of went over that as being, I'm going to count that as the low lights of your
Yes,
trip. Or
that was a
there
low light.
any other low lights that you want to touch on, or shall we move to the positive stuff?
Big Thunder was down, and I didn't get to do that. So that was kind of a low light. Like, I think that was the big thing that we missed. When you register, if you pre-register for disability access, you get to pre-select 2 Lightning Lane attractions to do. I'm not sure why they do that. The way the cast member explained it to me was like, thank you for your time. Like, listen, I was on hold for like 3 hours to pre-register for this thing, and you have to be there and be available to video chat. And the person who is the main guest who has the disability also has to be available for the video chat. And it's like, okay, my kid's in school, and that means we have to be like at home. Right?
Yeah.
So it's not easy to do. So the way she presented it to me was like, as a thank you for your time, you get to pick 2 attractions. So Big Thunder was one that we had selected. But when we walked over, it was down, and it had just gone down because we saw people. There was a train like not far from the loading dock, like it was about ready to pull back in. And they were sitting there with umbrellas. Like, cast members had handed them umbrellas because it was so hot and they weren't able to get off the ride. So I was like, oh no, it's going to be down for a while. And at that point, we only had like 2 things left to do in Disneyland before we were hopping. And I was like, great, we're not going to get on Big Thunder today. Like, this is not happening. And I kept checking the app, and it was just down for like a couple hours. And I was like, oh man, that really stinks. And then the next day, day 2, by the time we hopped to Disneyland, like, we were kind of just done. We weren't going to push the kids any further. So
Now, when Big Thunder went down and you had that lightning lane, did it convert to you can use this lightning lane for any other attraction?
yes, and it used that for Haunted Mansion, even though that was our other pre-selected lightning lane.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know why it did that. So that was kind of a bummer also, because
Yeah.
after we scanned for Haunted Mansion, it still showed that we had a Haunted Mansion lightning lane. Disney
Good job.
IT, people. Woohoo.
They, most days it works as intended. They just happen to have a really bad day.
Most days they have a really bad day.
No, this was an exceptionally bad day. What is it? Terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day?
Yeah, something like
Versus the
that.
rest of them are just bad days.
Yeah, something like that.
So enough about the bad. Let's talk about the good. What were some of the highlights of your trip?
The churro was so good.
I'm not optimistic when you start with a churro as a
No,
highlight.
listen, it's because the churros at Walt Disney World are not good. They just aren't good. And I can't even tell you like where to go to find a churro cart at Walt Disney World. Like, churros?
Frontierland.
Really?
Yeah, that's where Kirsten and I got a churro. We got it in
Okay.
Frontierland.
Yeah, because churros are like everywhere in Disneyland. Like, there's at least one churro cart per land. They're just not really a thing at Walt Disney World. And I didn't realize how much I missed them from Disneyland until we walked by a churro cart and I smelled them and I was like, oh, we should get a churro. And I doled out the $5 for a churro. I took one bite and the kids split the rest. And that one bite was so good. Another highlight was Matterhorn Single Rider. Was really fun. It broke my back, but that was just a really fun ride. And like Space Mountain in Disneyland is so much fun. We walked onto that like first thing. That was a lot of fun. Incredicoaster was awesome. And taking my son on a lot of those DCA rides like Jumpin' Jellyfish and Silly Symphony Swings, he was not tall enough for those when the parks closed. And I feel like they're really approachable rides for having a height requirement. They're not really scary. And they're just fun, right? You know, you can see the whole ride from the outside, so you're not like dragging a kid into the unknown dark space mountain. Like they know what to expect. And there's just a lot of fun, and he really enjoyed those. So like seeing him smile and giggle on those rides was just a lot of fun.
And I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming you did like a rider switch stroller for a lot of the things because you have a 1-year-old. She's not going on Incredicoaster.
Right. We did do rider switch on some of the things, like Radiator Springs Racers. We did rider switch. My husband didn't make it on Space Mountain, and I feel really bad about that. When you do rider swap, they offered our son to go on it again, and my husband took him. And when the gates opened, he like dropped to the floor and didn't want to go again.
Oh.
So I think it scared him. I don't know. He was smiling on it. Like on the right picture, he had this big smile on his face, but then he was like, nope, don't want to go again. So my husband didn't make it on that one, and I feel kind of bad about that. But yeah, we did single rider on Matterhorn. My husband didn't want to do the swings, Silly Symphony Swings. We did Jumpin' Jellyfish twice, like on day one and then on day two. So we took turns on that. We did rider swap on Incredicoaster, rider swap on Racers. Yeah, that's kind of all we had to rider swap on.
And other than the Space Mountain meltdown, the experience with that was good?
Yeah, he liked Space Mountain. And then Radiator Springs Racers, he was very confused on the inside portion. Like, there's a lot going on here. I don't know what to do. But then when we got to the racing portion outside, he gave himself a high five and a fist bump. So I think he liked the racing portion. But then again, when he had the opportunity to go again, same thing. He dropped to the floor and didn't want to go. So my husband brought him back out to me, and then he went single rider by himself.
That's interesting because I know how much he loves Lightning McQueen.
Yeah, I don't know if he was just like, it's dark inside, I don't want to go. I have no idea.
You already mentioned the churro, but is there any other standout food experience you want to recount for us?
Okay, Carthay Circle alfresco dining. This is new since you've been to the park, I'm pretty sure. So when the parks closed for COVID, you know, eventually they reopened downtown Disney, and they reopened Buena Vista Street as an extension of downtown Disney. So you could go into Buena Vista Street for shopping and dining. And I did that a lot because it's like you just have to pay to park and you can walk into Buena Vista Street. What the heck? Why not? Right. Well, they opened Carthay Circle patio area, and they called it alfresco dining. And we used to eat there a lot when the parks were closed, just for a nice like dinner or lunch out or whatever. And they've kept that as like a lounge dining area that you can make reservations for. So I could get a reservation for that, and we ate right there on the patio. And you can watch people walking by on Buena Vista Street, and the band was playing out there, and it was just a really lovely evening. The kids were a little crazy, but you know, whatever. We gave Felix a Shirley Temple, and I had my Diet Coke, and it was all good. But I ordered, oh gosh, it was like these twice cooked Vietnamese like beef taco kind of things. No, lettuce wraps, sorry. Like beef lettuce wraps, and they were like really spicy and really good, and it was just like, oh, so good.
And did you get the biscuits?
They don't do the biscuits down there. No.
No.
I know. I'm really upset that this is the downfall of eating out there. They don't do the biscuits down there. They only do them in the restaurant.
Is there anything about this trip that you would do differently?
Well, this was actually a disagreement between my husband and I. He wanted to stay close to family down south in the Mission Viejo area.
Mhm.
I wanted to stay like right across from Disneyland, walking distance, you know, off Harbor Boulevard. I lost this battle. We stayed way down south. So I told him, don't get mad at me when I wake you up and we leave the hotel at like 6:15 every morning so we can rope drop. I did win that part of the battle. We rope dropped both days. We were there when the park opened, like before the park opened, we were in the gates. We made it. If we were to do things differently, we'd be staying across the street. 100%, because I wanted to stay like for World of Color. I wanted to see Electrical Parade. I wanted to see the fireworks. The kids cannot hang that late. And we had one car with two car seats. how am I going to get home? I'm not necessarily comfortable Ubering as a solo female, let alone that far. Like, that's an expensive Uber ride. But if we were within walking distance, like, he could go put the kids to bed, or we could take an afternoon nap and come back. So that was kind of disappointing because I feel like I could have stayed until 10 p.m., 11 p.m., like just by myself and come back to the room later. Maybe next time.
Yeah, especially because you don't have to do for your trip specifically, since you're there to visit family too, you don't have to stay the entire time at Disneyland.
Right? That's what
Yeah.
I was saying. And I was trying, I don't know. It's long. I won't get into it.
What's done is done.
Yes. And the hotel we stayed at was very nice. They had free breakfast, free parking, free Wi-Fi. So, but I think we did Disneyland the first 2 days that we were there. And I think coming from the East Coast, that was a good call because the kids were still on East Coast time. They were waking up at like 5:30. They were like rearing
Ready.
to go. Yeah. They were like, woohoo, we're awake. And we
Yeah,
were like,
that's
okay,
good.
I guess we're awake too.
So this is a question that I pulled from when we did my trip report. What are your impressions of the strengths and weaknesses of Disneyland Resort right now?
Weakness would be I really hate the scanners they have for Lightning Lane. They are different than Disney World's scanners where you just hold your wrist up to or your ticket up to it. You have to there's like a little slot that you put your phone or your ticket into, and people are so confused by this. There are like masses of people outside the entry to the queue that don't know what they're doing. And these poor cast members are having to tell people like there's multiple scanning points and trying to maintain the crowds. I also think crowd control is very difficult for them still. It's very clear that they're struggling with that. This is not necessarily just from my perceptions from this trip, but overall Disneyland in general. They don't know what they're doing with the magic key holders. I feel really bad for them. I feel really bad for the magic key holders, I should say. Maybe by the time this episode comes out, we'll have an answer, but we're like less than a month away from those first magic key holders renewing, and there's no answer as to what or how magic key holders will be able to renew. Like, that's a big question. And this is kind of going a little bit off topic, not relating to my trip necessarily. It's very clear that most people going to Disneyland are locals still. It's very, very clear. And I don't think that the powers that be at Disney really understand that the market for Disneyland lies in the people who are most loyal to Disneyland, which is the locals. Whereas the market share here at Walt Disney World, and this is just my perception, I don't have any data to back this up, obviously. The market share at Walt Disney World here are the tourists. They don't necessarily need to create an annual pass holder program. Like, they don't need to change things here. Things here are fine. They have so many annual pass holders there. They got to do something to keep them happy. If they gut the annual pass holder program there, they're going to lose a lot. They can't keep their parks afloat just catering to tourists. They absolutely cannot. They don't have the vacation destination power like Walt Disney World does. They simply do not. But on the flip side, they do have a crowding problem that they somehow have to solve. And that's, I witnessed that as a guest, and I witnessed it on our vacation just now. Like, there's parts of the park that still get very, very crowded. So I don't know what their response is going to be, but they have to balance it somehow. And then strengths. Characters, I think, are still a strength. We saw so many characters walking around in Fantasyland. We saw Jasmine, Mulan, Ariel. We saw Wendy and Peter and the Mad Hatter and Alice just walking around. We don't see that in Magic Kingdom. We don't see them just walking around.
Yeah. And those are some pretty unique characters, too.
Well, I thought it was weird that Mulan and Ariel were walking together.
Huh.
It's like, that's an odd pairing.
I'm assuming Ariel was in her human form and not her mermaid form.
Yes. Correct. But yeah, I think the characters are definitely a strength and the entertainment is a strength. You know, there are like bands playing in California Adventure over by Goofy Sky School. There's a little stage back there. They had
Mhm.
like a band playing like modern music and it was really lively over there. And then over by Carthay, they had like an old-timey band playing. The Stuntronic show with Spider-Man was very cool. I just and a ton of characters, ton of characters over in Avengers Campus. And of course Cars Land. You know, you
Mhm.
got Mater and Lightning and Red.
So I know Snow White changed. We're going to talk about that next episode, so I'm not going to ask about it now. But Web Slingers was a new ride for you. What was your
Yes.
impression of it? I've never been on it, so no spoilers, please.
Okay. I have managed to avoid spoilers as well. I mean, I knew it was a shooter ride. That's all I knew. It was very cool. As somebody who's a fan of video games, I very much enjoyed it. I was kind of disappointed overall in Avengers Campus. I feel like there wasn't much for me personally. My draw to it was the ride, and I would go back and do the ride, but I would not wait longer than, say, 30 minutes for it.
Okay. I will also add that I would not count you as a Marvel fan by
No,
any means.
no. The last movie I saw in theaters was Ant-Man, and the only reason I saw the last Marvel movie I saw was Ant-Man. And the only reason I saw it in theaters was because I won a contest and I got free tickets.
So perhaps somebody who actually likes Marvel would have a different opinion from you on Avengers Campus. But
It
again,
just
this podcast is our takes.
like
So
it just felt kind of sad. Like there's, you know, it's Marvel. Their movies are all like PG-13. You have a ride here that's a family ride that my baby can go on. You know,
is there no height limit?
no height requirement.
Okay.
I mean, she didn't really get it, obviously. She
Yeah.
doesn't get any of the rides. But it's like a family ride, you know? And I'm like, shouldn't there be like an e-ticket ride here? I mean, it was like a restaurant, a bunch of characters, this cool Stuntronic show, and a family ride. And I'm looking at what they got rid of, which was a land with like 3 family rides for something that doesn't really add up to me. I don't know, unless they're counting, I guess you could count Guardians of the Galaxy as part of Avengers Campus now. It's weird. It's like you kind of leave Avengers Campus, but then like Mission Breakout is kind of over there.
Yeah.
It's like in between Avengers Campus and Hollywoodland. It's in a weird spot. I can't tell what they're trying to do with that. And I mean, the rumor is it was supposed to come with an e-ticket that was going to come as part of phase 2, but nobody knows what the status of that is. Did it get canceled because COVID? Probably. I don't know. But right now it just feels very incomplete. Like there's empty buildings there. It's weird.
Now I'm gonna ask a couple of random questions that have just come to me. One, did you not do Midway Mania?
No, no, we did not do Midway Mania because we have it here in Florida.
Okay. Second question, following up from some of our previous episodes, did you walk under the castle and is there a store under there?
Oh my gosh, I did not go through the castle.
No.
I'm so sorry. That totally slipped my mind.
Honestly, it slipped my mind until like just now too, so I don't blame
We
you, but
we walked by the side of the castle because we wanted to see the wishing well. And then the other time we went on the other side because I saw Gaston over there and I wanted to walk by Gaston. Sorry.
all right. Well, I don't know when my next California trip is, but I will endeavor to secure Disneyland tickets when I make it out there next.
All right. Sorry.
Unless it's over Christmas, in which case we will not be going to Disneyland because nobody needs to be going to Disneyland over Christmas.
Yeah, fair.
CJ, is there anything else that we haven't covered that you would like to talk about?
There's a really cool ice cream place we went to called Clarabelle's Ice Cream. Did you ever go there?
Where is it?
It's on Buena Vista Street. If you're walking in, it's at the end on the right side.
Is it where
By
the
Starbucks.
train used to be?
Yes, it's by
Yeah.
Starbucks.
Pretty sure I've been there.
So they do these hand-dipped ice cream bars where you
Ooh,
pick.
yes, I've been there.
Yes. Okay, I got like the ultimate chocolate ice cream bar. It sounded so good. Okay, first of all, you can mobile order, so that was like key. And You can customize a chocolate covered banana too, which I probably should have done, but I really wanted ice cream because it was hot. I got chocolate ice cream dipped in dark chocolate with chocolate chips on top. It was so chocolatey, I could not finish. And my son and my husband got like chocolate chip ice cream, whatever. And I was like breaking off chunks of chocolate to put on their ice cream because it was like chocolate overload. It was so good.
Mistakes were made.
Yeah, mistakes were made, but they were non-regretful mistakes. They were delicious. But yeah, I mean, it was a good trip overall. It was fun.
Last chance to add anything else.
Go to Disneyland. It's still better than Disney World. I'm not biased at all.
All right, CJ's hot take.
Get there at park opening. Just, I don't know. It's a fun park. Everybody should go. If you're a Disney World person, you definitely need to visit at least once. Oh, I have another sad regret. I
Okay.
needed to go on Small World again. I need to go back and go on Small World. We got to Small World, and my son was screaming when we got in the boat. He cried the entire ride. I thought he was sad we weren't going on the train. No, I realized at the end of the ride he was missing a sandal. It fell off in the stroller when we were getting on the ride. Gosh, yeah, and the ride didn't distract him enough. I felt terrible that I didn't realize he was missing his sandal. And then I meant to go on Small World again on day 2, and we just didn't make it back there.
It is a little bit out of the way.
It is, and we were just tired, and yeah. Instead, we prioritized Jungle Cruise because we missed that day 1. So.
End on a happy note, please, because that was a depressing story.
It was. Let me think. Pirates was really fun. It's just a good ride. They got rid of that terrible fake waterfall.
Okay, with the Davy Jones projection.
Yeah, they restored the original audio in that portion.
Oh, good.
Perhaps he knows too much. That part. It's back.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, yeah. Now I really have to go to Disneyland.
I know. It's so good.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us as CJ delivered us a trip report and I delivered you a book report. So let us know what you think about this episode. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter allegedly at Park2Park Pod with the number 2. You can send us an email with anything that you want to say to us, a picture from your latest Disney trip even. If you do that and give me permission, I will slap it up on our YouTube video, like right here.
Wow.
Anyways, you can email that to park2parkpod@gmail.com, again with the number 2. Subscribe, like, comment, leave a review, give us stars.
Smash that subscribe button. Okay, well, next episode, we're finally going to be discussing Disney dark rides, such as Snow White, Mr. Toad, and Peter Pan.
Our favorites.
Well, yeah, I like the dark rides.
I wasn't necessarily being sarcastic.
It sounded like it.
A lot of people like those rides, especially considering when you look at the line for Peter Pan.
Yeah, that's a wild ride. Wild line. Peter Pan's wild line.
Yeah, that's fitting because it's right next door to Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Peter Pan's Wild Line, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
True.
Yeah, they're like sister rides. I was reading something on the internet the other day about how people just kind of like to form lines, and people will see a line and get in it and not necessarily know like what they're getting in line for. So I wonder how much of that is a factor, although I do believe that Disney does label their lines pretty well. But it'll be interesting. I'll have to do some research and see if that's how much that could be a thing.
I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out next time on Park2Park Pod.
We'll see you next time.